Hi folks, it looks like it's just me here today, but quite a few people did get in touch and say that might be the case, so it's not a problem at all. So basically I'm going to be chatting to myself and making a video. As a musician, I've done loads of that in the past, so it's not a problem. So today we're going to be going through a module that I call flow, which is all about nice, gentle kind of movements. And I thought to go with that, the visualization that we could do today would be about being a more flexible version of you and how that would work and how that might help you and the people around you. And so hopefully this week you're going to start to get a bit more of a flavor for how this works. And this is why I wanted to do a minimum of 6 sessions with you, because we're going to change the theme each week. And the idea of that is, if I introduce you to a concept, you know, for example, of, you know, like this, being a more flexible you, you've got to take that on board and think that through. But then if we revisit it later in the week, then you've already taken it on board, and you might get a slightly different experience when you're sitting there and pondering and visualizing how that might be. So it's kind of builds on itself within that week. And as I say, then we move on, and all these things over a period of time would be on a rotation. So yeah, hopefully you're going to get the idea of it this week. Yeah. So without any more ado, we're just going to have a bit of a loosen up. So you kind of go with your instincts a little bit. Take a deep breath, have a bit of a wiggle. You know, just spend a couple of moments, just kind of, and kind of arriving. You know, leaving your computer behind, leaving everything else behind, leaving what's going on in your world behind you today. With that in mind, actually, by the way, if I have to interrupt this, it's because my mum's going down to theatre for an operation today. I've got the phone right here. It's possible that she might phone in this half-hour slot. I'm hoping that would be a bit unlucky if it was just going to interrupt us, but it might do. So if I have to disappear, it probably won't be for very long, so just bear with me if you can. Or if you're watching the video, just fast forward. Okay, so deep breath. You'll notice, I did it myself, everything comes up at the top here, especially if you've got things on your mind or if you've been busy. And you'll find also, even just later in the day, you'll breathe higher and higher up in your lungs. It's quite an interesting thing. There's a lot of science behind that. And we want to try and breathe lower into the lungs. And so you're moving the diaphragm, and that feels like you're breathing into your belly. And it's known often as belly breathing. It's actually called diaphragmatic breathing, but just breathing into your tummy. So just take a little deep breath. You know what I mean? Just breathe there for a minute. And hopefully you'll feel, even if your shoulders still go up and down, hopefully you'll feel that you're getting that breath in that area. While you're doing that, I'm just going to say thank you for the feedback I've got so far. It's really good. I will be getting a kind of survey together later in the month. So anytime you want to drop me some feedback, that's great. But in the meantime, don't worry, because I will be asking for more later anyway. So it's very encouraging. And just kind of arriving into the room just kind of calms you down a little bit. You know, we all kind of rush around a lot, especially you guys who are watching the videos who clearly didn't have time to do it live. You know, it's probably because of work, so you're probably going to be watching the video after work, so you kind of need to take this little half hour to just chill out. Okay, start swinging the arms about as we have before. And again, just being aware of the tension in the shoulders and the neck. Just gentle swings. Remember, this is all about being gentle. It's a self-care thing. It's a wellness thing. It's a health thing. It's not a fitness thing. I mean, you might get mild improvements to your fitness, but it's really about health. That's it. And just when your mind starts to wander off, you've got two things to think about throughout these sessions, really. One, can I be doing better breathing into my tummy? It's a really good thing to get into on a regular basis. Just catch yourself. Am I breathing down there? It's just a good thing to do. It's a really good habit to get into, especially if you have any problems with anxiety or other breathing problems, which I won't go into right now. But just kind of, it's just a really, really good habit to get into. Engages the parasympathetic nervous system, as I mentioned before. So there's your breathing, and then there's the kind of theme of the week, this idea of a more flexible mind, which obviously we'll come on to later. But again, if you find your mind wandering off and thinking about other things, just sort of try and catch yourself and either think about your breathing, or maybe if you need something more creative, then maybe start pondering that idea of how would it be if you had a bit of a more flexible approach to life. As I say, we'll define that's going to be a different thing for different people, so we'll think about that a bit more. Slowly bring your arms a little bit higher, maybe now up to shoulder height. Coming a bit further at the back as well, and you'll notice it lifts the shoulder blades up when you come higher at the back. Now for me, that instigated some deeper breathing by changing that movement. So you want to just be mindful of what it does for you, how it works for you. It's not necessarily of any massive significance. It's just good to be mindful of what's happening to your body, because it's different for everyone. So I'm going to put the screen, I want to keep that screen alive. Okay, then we're going to come down, soften your knees again, feet roughly hip width apart. It's not a science, but just feet apart and not together. Drop your knees so you've got softer knees, only a little bit, it's just so they're not locked. And then, and then tilt your hips forward, just kind of that way, rather than sticking your bum out, as it were. Tilt your hips forward, and then we're just going to start twisting around. Really, really kind of natural, easy movement for your body. Gets a bit of a twist in the spine, loosens up the shoulders, neck, back in a different way to the other arm swings that we've just been doing. By keeping your head facing forward, you're also getting a bit of a twist in the neck, loosening things up there. Again, if anything starts to hurt, obviously just go more gently. That's it. And just focusing either on your breathing or on this idea of being more flexible in your approach, one or the other, if you find your mind's wandering away. And again, seeing how that feels for you. Okay, now we're going to bring the arms, one arm forward, one arm back, and we're going to swing the arms in that way. Slightly different twists, slightly different approach with the arms. Try and keep your tummy in a little bit, keep your hips forward still and your knees soft still. You'll find a little bit of a bounce almost as you kind of swap over the arms. Let that happen if it needs to. If it's too much, just come back to one of the other movements. Again, it's all just about loosening up. And then just slowly letting that kind of slowly just come back to center, to neutral if you like. And again, if you can feel things are loosening up, this is why it ties in with this idea of flow and being more flexible. And this is why, and I will go on about this a lot, this idea of mind and body together. If everything comes loose in your body, things not by definition, but by default will become looser in your mind as well. You know, the two things are linked. If you've got a looser approach in your head, you'll probably feel looser physically. And if you're looser physically, you'll probably feel looser in your mind. And the mind-body link is really what we're exploring with this practice, as you know. So we're going to do a forward bend. Just dropping your chin down to your chest. Have a little pivot there. Just feel what's going on in your neck. Left and right. Just feeling those muscles kind of either side and at the back of the neck. Having a bit of a loosen up there. You might find after a while you start to slow down slightly. Then come back up. If you want to, actually, we'll tell you what we'll do is we'll just do a quick twist as well. So just turn your head to your left or your right. Feel that twist in your neck. Come back the other way. Feel that twist in your neck. Good. Then we'll come back into the forward bend. Drop your chin down. Slowly leaning forward. Just being mindful of your arms, slowly making their way down your legs. They don't have to be touching. And you're just curling up or uncurling. I'm never quite sure which way to describe it actually. There's the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, just sort of coming down into this forward bend. When you get to somewhere where it feels like, yeah, that's enough, come up a couple of inches or a few centimeters, take a breath and go back down again. When it feels like it naturally wants to stop, come up a little bit, take a breath, and as you breathe out, just let it go again. And again, I think this is one of the best ways I can think of to really illustrate physically how you you benefit and you relax on the out breath. That's where the relaxation is. So you really can see, it's a very tangible example of how when you breathe out, there's an opportunity to relax your muscles. And then if you want, you can just have a bit of a dangle and just swinging the arms around a little bit. Again, just move your hips slightly and you'll find you start dangling around a little bit. Or you can stay with what we were doing. So you can start modifying some of these little things that we're doing now if you want to suit you. Maybe coming up and down slightly while you're doing this. Just see what's going on with your back. See how you feel. And then slowly coming back up again. And bringing everything up. So you're standing nice and tall. Now we're just going to stand even taller than we were. So if you stand nice and tall, bring your spine really straight. And imagine there's a string or a piece of rope that connects all the way down your spine and just lift slightly. So you're just lifting your head right up. It might actually feel like it aches slightly because it's not where you're used to being. And then just take a nice big deep breath in and out. And just let everything kind of go back to where it was. Just take a little moment there. And then we're going to move into this flow session. So what we're going to do, if that was hip width for you, maybe bring your feet slightly further apart this time. Enough so that if you wanted to crouch down, you could. Okay, so you might want to go quite wide even. You don't need to, we're not going to crouch down, but just so you could bend those knees and get lower if you wanted to. Okay, I'll explain why in a minute. Again, keep your knees soft, keep your hips forward, and I want you to just bring your hands up to chest height, shoulder height if you like. Now check if your shoulders have come up. Try and drop your shoulders. I have a tendency to bring my shoulders up as well, which is why we do this, is because this helps to combat that. Keep your shoulders down, turn your hands over, and go back down again. Lift up, try and check the shoulders. If you can see yourself in a screen, or if you can see yourself in a mirror, try and check that your shoulders have stayed where they are. Okay, now you're going to breathe in as we come up. Nice deep breath, and breathe out as you go down. Now, bear in mind, this is called flow, this module, so we want everything to be really gentle and graceful, very Tai Chi like, you know. You can clasp your hands as they come up, and down if you want to. I'm starting to get slightly arthritic, so it doesn't seem to like that so much these days. Or you can just put one over the other, or you can just touch your fingertips together, whatever feels right for you. See how my shoulders have just gone stuck up there? You have to kind of keep an eye on that. It's like, hold on. Anyway, so stand nice and neutral, nice and tall. Breathe in as your hands come up. Gently and gracefully turn and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. The hands up. Try linking mine. Keep your shoulders down and down. Now it's more comfortable for me to put one over the other. Don't chastise yourself too badly if the shoulders come up, but do keep checking. Are my shoulders staying nice and low? Your elbows do come up. Your elbows come right up to shoulder height, neck height even almost. So up and down in your own time. And just imagine this kind of flow, which, as I say, is tying into this idea of a flexible approach to life. And this time, as your hands come down, you're going to come forward, stretching right out forward and right up, and then let go and come out to the side. So to combine the two things, we come up as we did before to the chest, down as we did before, link the hands if you want to, come up and over, and then all the way out to the side. Breathing in, breathing out. Try and keep the breath nice and smooth, so this might be a faster movement on the way up, and it might be a faster movement on the way down. Try and let your breath dictate the speed of it. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Up and down. If this bit feels a bit too much for any reason, just go back to this bit. And you can even minimize this. So it's really gentle. It's quite nice to do it around belly height because it helps you to focus on your breathing. And you can slow it down. There's lots more we can do with this. By the way, the reason I said crouch down if you want to is as your hands come down, you can also take yourself down and go into a crouch. As you come up, come straight. As you come down, you can crouch. Again, if you're going to do that, try not to lean, rug slipping, try not to lean too far forward. Try to come down and stay in the same, try and stay upright, okay? And then just keep going. A couple more of those and then we're done. Nice and flowing, gentle movement, mindful of your breathing, mindful of the flow, and mindful of keeping your shoulders down if you can. Okay, as I say, there's lots more things we can do with that, so I'll just show you briefly in case you want to play around with it in the week. With your feet in that position, you can kind of turn to the side, lift up and push out and come back and push out, almost like, well actually the easier way to do it is just to stand in this position, put your foot out 45 degrees, turn to 45 degrees, and then as if you're holding a ball, just moving onto your rear leg and onto your front leg. You kind of need a fuller shot of me for that, really. So again, we'll explore that another time. But for now, This is just a really nice thing. And if you find you want to kind of come up and make this really slow, you can kind of, how does that feel, just having your shoulders out there? You can push out. And that's another module we're going to do is further, which is where we try and stretch everything a bit further. But again, I'm kind of racing ahead a little bit today, so that's all we need for now. But again, do feel free to play with these things. And the only other thing I wanted to say was regarding this flow module, this idea, when we're doing any of the other bits and pieces, try and incorporate that flow. It makes it much more mindful, and you can make your own up. You know, what happens if I just push my hand out? Pull it back. That's a kung fu thing. Push. Twist. You know, I'm doing it the wrong way around, but you know, there's just really simple movements, but just with a flow to them, can be a nice thing to play around with. Okay, if you want to just get yourself seated, get yourself nice and comfortable, and I shall do likewise. Quick glass of water for me. Because everyone's watching this on video, I don't feel like I need to wait for you. Pause it if you need to. So, just check into your chair, as we've done before, in as much as just being aware, getting comfortable in your chair, being aware of your back against the chair, and just the fact that you're now sitting. We tend to, our minds tend to race around a little bit. Sometimes we move from one thing to another. So you just kind of now got to say, okay, this is another section. This is something else now. So sit, arrive in that seat mentally, so you kind of feel like you're there. Back to your breathing. Take some nice breaths, nice deep breaths if you want to. They don't have to be that deep, but 1 or 2 deep ones is usually a good way to start. And just settling down, just for about 10 minutes. And then when you're ready, you can close your eyes. And then maybe if you want to, you can just go back to that idea of focusing on the chair as well, you know, where your back is, how your back is positioned on the chair, how your back to your legs are positioned on the chair, feet on the floor, what you're doing with your hands. You might find you move them around a bit, it's fine. You're just settling down. So we're going to talk about this idea of how would it be if you had a more flexible approach. Imagine a version of yourself that is more flexible in how you think and how you approach things. What does that mean to you? Maybe you'd be more tolerant. You know, maybe being more flexible means being more tolerant. Maybe it means being less judgmental. Maybe it means being a bit easier going in general. Maybe taking a softer approach to things. Again, taking on the board this kind of idea of this flow. Did you find that when you're doing those flowing movements, it's easier to be a bit softer? It's not quite so easy to be angry when you're doing these kinds of things, because we tend to soften our approach a little bit. Maybe that would make you less argumentative, more, as I say, maybe just more relaxed about things in general. It's different for everybody. What does it mean to you to be more flexible in how you view things? How does that feel? Can you see how if you take a softer approach with your mind, maybe you're starting to feel a bit more relaxed in your body? If you soften up your body by loosening up and stretching, it's easier to access that softer part of your mind. What could you achieve if you're more flexible in your thinking? And how would your life improve? And again, how would it be for the people around you? We discussed this idea last week. Who else would benefit if you had a more flexible approach? There's this idea of quite a good analogy for this is imagine you're a piece of bamboo or maybe a blade of grass or something in the wind, and imagine that the wind is kind of life giving you a bit of a battering, all the day-to-day stuff coming at you, and the way that this piece of grass or this piece of bamboo or even a tree would deal with that is not by being rigid, it's by being flexible. So it will bend in the wind. It will kind of soften and just bend in the wind and accept what's going on, accept the storm. Sometimes when you're in that kind of position, just maybe thinking of yourself like that as taking the approach of something which does it purely by instinct, if you like, just bending, being more flexible, knowing that you can always straighten up when things have changed, when things are different. And you can change that analogy for, as I say, for work, for all sorts of things in life. Things come and go. Pandemics, maybe. How would that, if you had a more flexible and softer approach to a pandemic? I mean, it's been hard on a lot of people, but what if you could just go with it? It's very much linked, I think, for me anyway, with the idea of acceptance. Being more flexible allows you to be more accepting. So you can think how that applies to you, what that means to you. Take that softer and more flexible approach. And that'll be the theme of this week. And if you get a moment, just have a little think every now and then, how would that work? And just by focusing on it, you'll probably find you start to become it. And that's really why we do this, because if we draw our attention to some of these positive attributes that apply to all of us really at various times, by drawing our attention to it, we're focusing more on that rather than the negativity. And then when you're ready, you can take your mind off of that and open your eyes, arrive back in the room, and get ready to get on with the day, hopefully with a slightly softer, more flowing approach to the week. Let me know. Now I need to let you know that because my mum's going into theatre today, she's coming out on Thursday, and we don't know what time that will be. So just in case I need it, I've already recorded a video for Thursday. So I may well be here live. If I haven't, I will be a pre-recorded video. So I'll be here anyway, and the video will be scheduled to go out. It just may be that I seem a bit robotic because I'm not replying to anybody or anything. I don't know. I'm going to look into the best way to do that. But just to let you know, probably be here to see you Thursday, but there is a possibility I might be needed elsewhere. So again, I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully I'll see you Thursday. And yeah, take care. I look forward to seeing you. Take care.